this is my 2011 Ford Mustang GT. Unfortunately, it's time to sell. I'm going to miss it. I'll tell you why. Welcome back to the Chooches. Today we're going to be doing a car review. Might start doing more of these in the future, but I might be buying a new car soon. So I figured I'd do a little review of this Mustang here before I get rid of it. So like I said, I'm probably going to miss this one. It's very special to me. I've had it for 3 years. Probably the longest car I'll ever own. Longest time I'll own a car. But
That's an unfortunate flaw between me and you, is that we don't keep them for too long.
for sure.
But
So first I did want to point out, like, there's a few aftermarket things that I'm not proud of necessarily, because it did come with the car when I bought it. So this hook scoop, namely, is one of them. It looks okay, in my opinion.
is it functional or?
Definitely not functional.
Okay, just a shower, not a grower.
Yeah, actually, matter of fact, the car less functional because I have a harder time seeing out of the window now.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, the things you do for the looks.
For sure. Right, another aftermarket thing, the wheels. I did buy these, as you may notice, has snow tires on it.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of...
Dude, what the? You drive this thing in the snow?
Yeah, I will get into that later. But overall, I do have to say that the styling on this car is my personal favorite out of all the Mustang generations. This is a Gen 5. It was from 04 to 14, they had this style. I mean, really, what I like, it's got nice, curves to it. Aggressive shape. I mean, they did that stupid fish, front end in the newer models. I'm not really a big fan of. And I do like the fog lights and everything.
Are those fog lights factory, or is that
They are factory, which I thought was a
Gotcha.
as well.
And did you purposely not put the plate center?
Well, yeah, it doesn't fit center. That's aggressive.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So, yeah.
And then, I guess moving on to the back, anything notably, with the rear of this? I mean,
Absolutely. So, this actually is a factory spoiler, which
Okay.
I do like. It helps the style of it a little bit. I do have to mention that these turn signals, this is the first generation that they did the sequential turn signals on this, which I thought was a really nice touch.
and then is this, I assume this is not factory, the actual having a backup camera
The
thing?
backup camera is not factory, but it's nice.
Yes, absolutely. And then what about the top? How's the top treating here?
So the top unfortunately does ruin the look of the outside when it's up, but when it is down, the car looks beautiful.
You want to throw this thing down for us so we can see what it looks like?
So one thing I do like about this convertible top here is how easy it is to put down. Compared to Breck's cars, it definitely is a lot easier and more watertight.
Wow.
Yeah, so literally flip these two latches
we
out.
went through the car wash today. It was 94% watertight, I would say.
Which is pretty good for being 12 years old. I will
In
say.
a convertible.
Right.
How watertight is this, John?
We'll see.
Oh gosh. Oh man, dude, look at your seatbelt back here.
Well, it's just time for your yearly shower.
Man. Well, we got the interior detail included.
Unfortunately. So anyway, hit the button, drops the windows automatically, which is pretty sweet, and the back shut goes.
That's pretty quick, no?
Yeah.
And yeah, there's the hit that turn signal that you were talking about. You're hyping up this turn signal. Let's see this turn signal here. It's probably not going to be the best because of the daylight, but yeah, that is pretty cool though.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. Like I said, it is definitely a lot nicer style with the top down.
Yeah, for sure.
You can see this is one of the reasons I'm gonna miss it.
So your new car is not going to be a convertible, unfortunately?
May or may not. Probably not. Just because we live in Wisconsin and can really only enjoy it a few months out of the year.
For sure.
This is the engine bay. Unfortunately, not as clean as I would like it. Don't leave it in the comments.
Man.
And I haven't really gotten the detail yet.
Man.
But so for starters, not factory, cold air intake. The previous owner put that on, but it is Roush, so reputable brand. I do, believe that helps.
And they're a big Mustang parts company, right?
Absolutely. They are a huge contractor. And I do believe it's a good install. And they probably do some
For sure.
So, yeah, I mean, this is one of the things I really like about this car too, is like how well constructed the engine bay is. They designed this for style. I mean, I really
For sure. It's very sharp looking.
Yeah, I truly like everything.
I like
about this.
the cross member too.
Yeah, it is factory as well.
Mustang GT. And then what's the specs on this bad boy here, John?
So we got a 412 horsepower and 385 pounds of torque out of it, which is very impressive to me considering that the last Mustang generation, I believe, was like around 326 horsepower out of the V8. So significant improvement from there, and
Absolutely.
You can tell.
Right. And now the 5-liter, obviously, this was the first year of that, correct? Or?
So this was the first year of this generation 5-liter. They had another one, I believe, in like the Gen 4. It was like the 90s style.
Right.
They hit a 5-liter, but again, like significant horsepower increase on this year. And this year was the first year of it. Like interesting too is that in 2010 they came out with this body style. They didn't put the 5-liter engine until 2011. So this is the first year of it.
So first model year for the 5.0 V8 with this, you know,
Yeah.
412 horsepower and everything. And then what about the transmission and everything? What do we got in that department?
So transmission is where they're lacking, I'll be honest, because the engine, like I said, strong motor. These things are known to go for a long time. And I did talk to a tuning place as well, and they said these are very easy to supercharge or turbocharge, no problem. It can handle it. Transmission, another story, because I can speak from personal experience that the model they have in here is the MT82 6-speed, and they're quite literally crap. And there are forums all about it. There's actually lawsuits going on that really never went anywhere, but essentially they did not put quality parts in the transmission, and they blow up.
Well, I mean, it's been good for you though, no?
Absolutely not. No. I had a whole mess of things in the transmission in here, and I actually bought a rebuilt one that ended up getting destroyed within a month. So they could have done better.
And we might have the clip for that, because I know that that's before we did our channel, but I do remember going on a ride with you, and the entire there was smoke coming from the vents when we were driving.
I do want to speak a little bit about, again, aftermarket stuff in here. This radio, Breck hates it. He's one.
Yeah,
he
it's
hates
awful.
aftermarket radios.
I mean,
But-
dude, it don't look right, and you can tell it's so clearly aftermarket.
And I do wish I had the factory one in here, but it is nice to have the CarPlay and everything. Factory, they had Ford Sync, and it did have Bluetooth and everything, but I mean, I like having this. I use the car for road trips, and it's, you know, it is what it is. It came with the car. I don't really want to change it right now. And but I mean, really everything else in here is factory. So
including the Monster Energy.
Including the Monster Energy, yeah.
But
Yeah. So next thing is the back seats here. I thought was really interesting the way they styled it. I've been back there. They're surprisingly comfortable. Yes,
Got a
like
little bit of
obviously not a lot of leg room, but I really like the way they did the bucket seats in there. I think
that's unique. You don't normally see a lot of backseat buckets, you know.
For sure. And yeah, and you know, one issue that I also wanted to kind of talk about was we kind of touched on the water issues. This is one of them, actually. Under those back seats right now, there's probably a couple ponds of water.
Oh god.
I don't know why, but Ford needs to kind of get that figured out. I hope they did with the newer models, but I don't appreciate it.
I imagine so, but
Yeah.
I mean, anything else that you would say, super notable about this? Obviously, I like that they got, little Mustang branding everywhere on the doors,
yeah, the styling
floor
of the
mats.
doors, I really love. This
Yeah,
is
it is
the
neat.
premium model too, so that's why you get the nice stitching on the doors, on the seats. And one other thing is like those speakers in the door, subwoofers.
Oh,
And
that
I
is
love
cool.
it. I
That
love
is
it.
cool.
It's sound quality in here is pretty top tier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the last thing is that I thought was really impressive for the year 11. They have customizable LEDs for your dash
Or the
instrument
back
cluster.
display.
Yeah, here, let me see.
Probably not the best for the daylight here, but
Yeah, so halo light color, you can do the outside, turn them off or on. I'm trying to get to the fucking color of it.
I think you passed it. There's a lot of options, though.
I know, a lot of options. Here,
I also just want to say, too, I like the old school gauge design, I mean, it looks a lot like a muscle car of, an older era, which I think is a cool, hark back to those that were, a little bit older and everything like that, so.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this is I'll put a picture in here later when it's dark and kind of go through Or maybe I'll shoot another video actually later and kind of go through the colors or whatever when you can see it.
For sure.
Okay, so here's a little further review on the gauge clusters as mentioned. You can go into here, change the gauge color. You can do blue, orange, red. It's just very cool that they included this in 2011. I thought that was a really nice touch and gives the car a little bit of personal feel. The catch is, why I couldn't do it earlier, is it has to be dark out. So they also have the halo light color that you can change, the ambient light color you can change, high, low. They have them in the cup holders. They have them down on the floor over here. Just very cool that they did this, and it's one of the things I do really like. I did also want to mention with the car that I thought it was cool that they made the speedometer go up to 160. It's just a little stupid thing, but I mean, you really would only use less than half of the speedometer if you're actually going the speed limit. But the fact that they included it to go up to 160 just again shows that the car is very versatile. And they also have auto headlights on here, which is pretty convenient. And again, I mean, they really offered a lot of features for the year, I think.
Absolutely.
And heated seats as well.
Even though you don't get the button because you put the stupid radio in.
But I didn't put the radio in. And I do have to say that this climate thing, extremely annoying. Yeah. Because when it's cold out, you know, again, living in the Midwest, like, you get in here and it's -30 and you're over here fiddling around trying to wait for the radio to start, and then you're over here trying to, you know, get your seat to go on and turn your heat up, and it's like not the move.
Absolutely.
So I might actually put the factory one back in, but again, probably selling it, and we'll get into that.
All right, the $1 million question, John. How does it drive?
It drives amazing. I mean, that is another reason I'm gonna miss it.
What's like when you get in this car? Like, what's like the first thought when you go for driving experience?
It's fun.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It's like, it's my daily driver, but it's fun to drive. I get in here, and it's just like the manual. You're going through the gears, and it's just a pleasant experience overall. Right. I will say that it accelerates very well. We'll give you a little, it pulls. Yeah. It's a nice ride.
It's got a nice rumble, that V8 rumble.
For sure. It's a good time overall. It handles well. We'll kind of get into that. We'll go on more of a curvy road in a second, but it drives nice. With the new transmission, it shifts a lot better. Definitely not as good as some of the manuals I've driven before. I had another Mustang before this that I will say shifted a lot smoother. What kind of Mustang was that? That was a 2006 Mustang V6. Okay. So that's kind of why I upgraded the V8. It was a little bit slower, but it shifted a lot better, I will say. Right.
So how's the comfort? How's the ride?
Relatively well. They do kind of compromise between your track suspension and your daily suspension. Like, it does ride a little rougher than your typical car for sure, but it is nice to have for when you're doing laps around the track. And again, that's where you get that nice compromise that they did. Right. And overall, like, the seats are very comfortable. You can tell from, I don't know if we mentioned anything in the Lotus video, but
yes. So after driving that car for like 6 hours, I sat in here for like 2 minutes. And I'm like, I think the first thing I said was, this feels like a Cadillac. Yeah. Because these seats, they're leather, they're plush. Even though they have buckets to an extent, they are, they're meant for, this sounds bad, but more of an American figure, someone a little larger and something for a little more comfort, Yeah. So I do think that's a good point with that as well.
For sure, they do fit nice, and they do have like lumbar support, and it's got the 6-way power seats, which was a nice thing for the time. And overall, it's just like, it fits you nice. Like, it's very ergonomic, and I really enjoy driving it. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so how's the handling on this?
It's good. I mean, this is our simulated racetrack here. Let this guy pass. Yeah, so I mean, overall, like, it does corner pretty well. I'm gonna give it, about 6 out of 10. I have definitely ridden in better. Obviously, the Lotus, that's more equipped to be on the track. Right. But overall, I mean, it corners nice. It hugs. It always.
Dogs barking.
But it hugs nice. You can tell that you have all the traction you need to get around the corner. And overall, it's just, again, it's that good compromise between a comfortable ride and being able to go around the track.
Absolutely.
It's nice. Another thing I will miss on here is the exhaust. Right now, it is not the factory exhaust, but the previous owner used a GT500 muffler on here. From the factory, it was dual. They just switched the muffler, but it does sound amazing. and I'll have Breck help us out with that.
Rev it again.
Yeah, so that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I love it.
Yeah.
It's a perfect mix between you can hear the exhaust and it's still not overbearing, that you can still drive, take your long road trips comfortably.
Absolutely, yeah, because it's not very drony. Even when we,
yeah.
all right, you know, like you said, 6 gear type thing. I mean, it's actually pretty quiet.
Right, so when you get on it, you can definitely hear it, but when you're just cruising, going around town, it is not overwhelming at all. And it won't draw too much attention from the cops unless, like I said, you're getting on it. But it's...
Yeah, you've never gotten like a ticket or anything, right?
No, definitely not, you know, and it definitely wasn't like the loud exhaust that probably gave it away, but, you know.
Just, you know, the acceleration, as they say.
Yeah, for sure. But it's... Overall, it's just, again, I will truly miss this car. And there's a lot of things that I like about it, but hopefully we can come up with something I like even more. I'm gonna get into the reasons why I have to sell this. So here's the kind of the deal. It's I love the car. I'm really happy to miss it. There's a lot of things. It's fun to drive. I've really had overall very positive experience with it. It's been great for me because it's very versatile. It's like this can go on the track and can take it across the country. I kind of have.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's still, you know, it's just fun to drive. And it's like, for me, I don't need very practical right now. And it's just a perfect compromise between a commuter and my track car.
So what makes you decide to move on to something new?
Yeah, so kind of, it's getting up there in age. She's getting a little old.
Yeah, she's been driven. It's definitely not a garage queen.
For sure. So
how many miles? Like 144?
It's about 145,000 miles
Yeah.
on it. And I've went through this before, that when they start getting older, when they get more miles on them, it just nickel and dimes you with repairs. And it's like that transmission kind of put a sour taste in my mouth about, you know, foreshadowing what is probably going to happen. It already needs a few things right now, and truly, I don't have the space or time to work on it, and I think I just need something new, reliable, and so that's why we're moving on.
Absolutely. Any, you know, in terms of ownership costs, I mean, over a normal car, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, they see a car like this, they assume it's going to be a lot. Obviously, I know the transmission was kind of a hiccup.
Yeah.
But, you know, how is it, you know, gas, tire, I mean, was it reasonable for you? Or?
That is one big thing about the cars. I was extremely surprised with how good a gas mileage it gets.
Gotcha.
Highway, 26.
Yeah,
no
that's
lie.
insane.
It is.
That is insane.
City, you're looking at about 15, 16,
right,
depending how you drive it, obviously.
Right.
But, I mean, when you have a V8 that you can just stick in 6th gear going 70, it's revving at like 1,800, 2,000 RPM.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
So,
and has there been, you know, I know you say a couple things. What do you have for the next owner? What are they going to have to kind of tackle?
So right now it probably needs brakes.
Okay.
The radio is kind of on its way out. It glitches. It shuts off randomly. It is overall just irritating. Like I mentioned. Maybe suspension. I've kind of noticed like a little bit of pull on one side occasionally. Other than that, not really too bad. That water issue might have to kind of take care of, but other than that, it's still pretty solid right now.
Nothing too serious that would hinder someone from driving it, obviously. Well, we'll miss the Mustang, but...
We'll miss the Mustang. And I did want to mention, too, that... So, like I said, I do drive this. It is my daily driver. It has been through the snow, through the salt, and everything, I'm sure you've seen in the Lotus video. We can link that here. But, yeah, so that is another thing that I was impressed about with the car, relatively. Is it's rear-wheel drive, but it does handle the snow pretty well. It's got a limited slip differential, that helps, and traction control, ABS, which is nice. The car's equipped to handle it.
Absolutely.
Alright, the last thing I want to mention in this video that I kind of forgot to mention in the other parts is the reason I bought the car in the first place was because it is cheap, it's reliable, and I'm in college. So that is pretty much what I need, is cheap and reliable. And my dad wanted me to get a Civic, but this was the same price, and 412 horsepower sounds a lot better than 150 or whatever the Civics are. And if you guys are in a similar position that you're in college or whatever, I'd recommend it.
Well, thanks for the review, John.
Absolutely.
So
And we'll keep you updated on what I decide to buy next.
let's go.
It's like getting up on.
John, they got your Jack's Pizza, dude.
We're gonna have to go get some. For sure. And it is like I completely forgot what I was gonna say.